Hello. You right, Curry Bear? Careful. Careful. Hello. Wanna go play with Bone? Go on, play Bone. Love you. I'm finally home, and it feels so good. I have missed this place. This is like my safe, happy spot. I love my flat. So good to be back. Today I thought to kind of like ease back into things, we would do something like, not too heavy, not too serious, but we are going to be looking at a post that I found on Reddit, on the debate religion subreddit, titled Atheism is a Religion. I thought this would be an interesting one to look at. It's a topic I've actually been wanting to talk about for quite a while, so this seems as good a reason as any. Let's jump into it. The post that I found starts by saying, a religion does not need to have a god to be considered a religion. For example, Buddhism is considered a religion and it lacks a god. Yeah, good point. However, all religions have a belief system attached to them, some more monolithic and rigid than others. Atheism can therefore be considered a religion without God, but with its own belief system. Now, I have a real problem with calling atheism a religion, because to me, atheism simply means that I lack religious belief or any religious affiliation. Being an atheist means I lack a belief in God. To me personally, being a part of a religion is about being part of a shared belief system. And I don't feel like I'm part of that by being an atheist. There's no one set of beliefs that unites us all. There's a common lack of belief in a god or gods, but I don't think that's enough to call it a religion. Hello, Pickle. You want attention, don't you? You want attention. I know. You're gonna be careful if you sit on my knee. Go on then. Hello. Hello. Love you. We have a piggy. You're okay, gorgeous. It's warm today, isn't it? You're a bit warm. I know. I love you though. Love you. Now let's go into a bit more detail about what exactly a religion is, right? Because this is kind of more complex than you might think, and it's really important to get these definitions down. Kyrouac, I am gonna... She's opening Siri. Come on, Pickle. Down, baby. Come on. Okay, so the definition of religion. Like this Reddit poster says, religions don't necessarily have to be about a belief in God, but they are about shared belief systems, and that's really, really important. I can't reiterate this point enough. One nice definition that I found for religion reads, that a religion is a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, especially when considered as the creation of a superhuman agency or agencies, usually involving devotional and ritual observances, and often containing a moral code governing the conduct of human affairs. I know that's very, wordy and obtuse and blah, 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 but the big things to take away from this, when we're defining religion, are that all members of a religion share rituals, totems, acts of worship. So this could be identifying certain idols, all being involved in praying, or giving offerings to a god, something like that. And all members of a religion share a moral code which governs behaviour and interactions. That's another big thing to think about. These slightly more optional ones, but which are still common amongst most religions, are that all members of a religion share beliefs about the cause of the universe and beginning of life, and they all share beliefs about the purpose of life. So I'd argue that's not necessarily true of all religions, but most religions, those bits. It's not a perfect definition, but I think it's a good starting place for this discussion. That said, this seems like a really good point to ask your opinion. So down in the comments, I want you to let me know, what do you think makes something a religion? How do you define religion? Do you think my definition's okay? Have I missed out anything important? Have I included some things that you wouldn't include? Because I don't think defining a religion is as simple as it seems. And so that's why I want to get your opinions and let me know what you think down in the comments. So like I say, I think this is a good starting place where we talk about shared beliefs, idols, worship, totems, moral codes, governing our behavior and stuff. I think that's a good starting place. And these can be pretty much applied to any religion I can think of, from the big ones like Christianity and Catholicism and Islam to smaller, more cult-like ones like Scientology. But then how many of these really apply to atheism? Let's think about it. I don't think of atheism as having any shared set of beliefs, and I know I keep saying this, but as I've said and will keep saying, the only thing all atheists have in common is a lack of belief in a god or gods. And I guess in that respect, we have a hell of a lot in common with most mainstream religions, the monotheistic ones anyway. However, when it comes to everything else, we have no shared rituals, no shared totems, idols, acts of worship. We have no shared moral code. There's no rule saying all atheists think X, or all atheists think Y, or if you don't think Y, you're not an atheist, or if you're an atheist, you must believe in X. There's none of that. All the rest of it is kind of up to individual interpretation. And yes, some beliefs that atheists hold will be informed by science or social norms or even like laws and stuff of wherever you live at the time. But there's no one authority informing all atheists, and that's really important to remember. I should probably tell you this is lemonade. I'm not drinking wine at 11 a.m. Not there yet. Give it a few years. Especially with atheists, one kind of misconception, I think, is that there's no shared belief about the origin of the universe. Admittedly, most atheists are also skeptics, and most atheists happen to be interested in science, and therefore are likely to understand and accept scientific theories such as evolution or the Big Bang. But obviously, if new evidence came along, that would change. Those beliefs would change. I'd say while there's a correlation? I'd say while... Try this again. I'd say while there's a correlation between being an atheist and believing in evolution, there's not necessarily a direct link. I think maybe it's kind of like once you understand evolution, you're more likely to be an atheist, but to me that's kind of as far as it goes. There's no causal link. There's no saying if you're an atheist, you have to believe in evolution. Surprisingly, I know some atheists who don't believe in evolution, which is weird and bizarre, I know, but it happens. Yeah, there's nothing saying every atheist is smart. Like I say, it's all down to individuals making up their own mind. So let's go back to the Reddit post, and let's have a look at these beliefs that this Reddit poster thinks all atheists share. This is really bizarre, you're going to enjoy this. Atheist beliefs are that the Big Bang created the universe. Life emerged on Earth without any external intervention. Life then evolved into various forms. We've kind of just addressed those, so let's not go into too much detail, but it's like, yes, okay, if you understand that stuff, you're more likely to be an atheist, but not all atheists actually understand or believe that stuff. And I wouldn't call it a shared belief. I think there's a trend amongst atheists to believe that. Atheists are more likely to understand and believe that, but it's not a shared belief in the same way that, like, I don't know, all Christians believe Jesus rose from the dead. No. The fourth one on this list is interesting. All atheists believe that abortion is perfectly acceptable. I find this interesting because, for one thing, it's very vague, and it's bizarre to assume that all atheists share this belief. You might have seen it. It was a bit of a, a bit of a mess, and a bit of a, bleh. I wouldn't recommend watching the video, but there was one where me, Steve, and Alex all discussed abortion. All atheists, all with very, very, very different views of abortion. Me and Steve are both pro-choice, but for quite different reasons. Alex was pro-life for completely different other reasons. 3 vastly different opinions on abortion, all atheists. And this is true for all atheists. There's no one shared thought on big issues like abortion amongst all atheists. There's no rule book saying atheists have to believe this, atheists have to believe this. And I don't actually agree with the statement that abortion is perfectly acceptable. I as a pro-choicer, don't actually agree with that statement. I do believe that abortion, before a certain point, probably around 16 to 18 weeks, but that's not the point of this video. If you're interested in that stuff, go check out the amazing collab I did with Holy Koolaid. I will link them down in the description below. We spoke about abortion and the science of it, and the necessity of it, and the dangers of removing abortion. It's a brilliant couple of videos that I think everyone needs to see, if I do say so myself. So yeah, I do believe that abortion before a certain point should be free and easily accessible to all women. or just people with uteruses. Trans men as well need free, easy access to abortion. That's important to say. I also believe that after a certain point, abortion should be free and easily accessible only if the mother's life or the baby's quality of life is severely at risk. So that's not to say a person can go in 9 months pregnant and say, abort me, for no reason. But if it gets to a certain point, like a late point in the pregnancy, and the doctor says, if you continue this pregnancy, you will die, I think that should be allowed as well. There are reasons for all my beliefs. There are caveats. There are things that say, like, this is acceptable, this isn't. I think this is okay, this isn't. I think people need this, but not this. There's a lot to it. It's complicated. That's not the same as just abortion is acceptable. I think there are plenty of circumstances when abortion is not okay. And I think in all cases, abortion isn't ever something that people want, but it is something that is a necessity that people need. And people need free, easy access to abortion. It's not nice, it's not ideal, it's not something anyone ever wants, but it is a necessity. That is not the same as just abortion is perfectly acceptable. And again, I want to say all the opinions I've shared here on abortion are my opinions, informed by science and my experiences and my life and the social, experiences I've had and stuff like that. It's nothing to do with my lack of belief in a god or gods. There is no correlation between my atheism and opinions on abortion. Number 5 on the list is homosexuality and transgenderism are perfectly acceptable. I'm just going to say this. I hate when people add, isms onto the end of things to try and make them sound like some big, scary, bad thing. Like, ooh, transgenderism. Ooh. No. People are just transgender. But, yeah, no. As an individual, I know that being gay or being transgender or whatever, there is literally nothing wrong with it. It is perfectly acceptable. However, this has nothing to do with being an atheist and everything to do with being a decent human being. Sadly, however, this isn't a view that all atheists share, as much as I wish it was. As we saw from a past video I made, being an atheist doesn't stop you being a homophobic and intolerant piece of crap. Which is a shame, but it's true. Therefore, there's no link between atheism and understanding that homosexuality and being transgender are perfectly fine. The next two are religion is the root cause of suffering on earth, and religious people should only be allowed to practice their faith at home. Now, this just sounds like someone trying to be mad at atheists and make us all out to be the bad guy by strawmanning us and saying, look, you haters, I can say what I want about you. It's silly. I know these two things are definitely not beliefs that I hold, and I know many atheists who are on my side. I also know some atheists who may agree with these to some extent, but again, that's about personal opinion and not about atheism, if that makes sense. There's no shared belief among atheists. Some atheists also happen to be anti-theists, who may or may not have these beliefs. Some atheists, like myself, are not anti-theists, and we're like, live and let live. Let people believe what they want to believe and respect that and let them do it in private, as long as it's not hurting anyone else. So therefore, I don't have a problem with someone saying, I believe in a god. The only thing I have a problem is when someone says, I am going to shout about you not being able to do X, Y, and Z because I believe in a god. There's a big difference there. I'd argue that while some people use religion as a shield for their bad behaviour, and that sometimes religions can be harmful to people, the concept of religion itself is not inherently bad, and I would never hold that belief. I think religion can be a great source of comfort, of community, of guidance for many people, and that's not something to ever look down on. That's something to respect and say, great, I'm happy you can get that from religion. It's not something I'm ever going to get from religion, but I'm happy that you can. And finally on the list is, apparently atheists share the belief that everything can be explained by science. Well, this one I do actually kind of agree with, but again, nothing to do with my atheism and everything to do with being a science fan. Science and scientists are infallible. I don't think any reasonable person would ever say that in the world. Ever. Scientists are human and sometimes get things wrong. The scientific method is fantastic because it's in place to ensure that we have a set of methods to use to test our theories and hypotheses and so on. It's great because it minimizes mistakes and so on, but It's not infallible. People make mistakes. Sometimes we can't collect all the data. Sometimes we don't have the equipment to collect all the data. Sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes unforeseen circumstances mess with an experiment. Lots and lots of different things can happen. Science isn't about claiming to always be right. Science is about collecting information and doing our best to interpret that and turning it into knowledge. It's about constantly learning and checking things and expanding our knowledge and updating our information and discovering more and more. But again, that's not an atheist thing to understand. There are plenty of atheists who understand science and who, I guess, trust science, have an interest in science, I guess you could say. It's a dodgy choice of words there. But there are also plenty of atheists who don't really care about science and don't really understand science. They're just like, well, it's there, doing its thing, whatever. Not a shared belief. And, on a slightly different note, there are plenty of religious people who also understand science and who trust science and who are scientists. And so finally the Redditor ends his post with, "So I submit that atheism is a religion. In fact, it's a religion in which its adherents, hold to a very rigid belief system, which I do not think could be more wrong. There's no shared belief system among atheists, and even if there was, it is definitely not a very rigid one." Like, I know a lot of what I've said in this video is only kind of anecdotal, but it is true. So many atheists differ on so many of these different big beliefs. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting the mic. We're informed by science and our social situations, our politics, our upbringing, the countries we live in. All these different things impact our opinions. There's no one set of shared beliefs among all atheists. There are trends, there are patterns, but it's not a shared belief system. And that's really, really important. So I guess this just brings me to my last point, which I think is equally as important. And that is, does this even matter? Surely this is just semantics, right? Is atheism a religion? Is it not? Who even cares? Well, actually, yeah, to some extent, I do care, and I do think it's quite important, because I hate when people make assumptions about me based on one particular belief. Like, this post was assuming. He's trying to, look at someone like me and say, okay, well, you lack a belief in any gods, so you must hate religion, which is untrue. He's making an assumption about me based on one belief, and it's wrong. You know, to correlate those things and say, well, because you're this, you must this, makes as much sense as me saying, well, you have dark hair, so you must hate strawberry ice cream. Yes, there may be some correlation between people with dark hair loving or hating strawberry ice cream, but that doesn't mean it's a causal link. And it definitely doesn't mean you can make assumptions about all people with dark hair. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I do think it's an important topic to talk about, because I don't think we should be making assumptions about whole groups of people just because of one of their beliefs. And when the group we're talking about is atheists, I think understanding the distinction of whether it's a religion or not is an important one, because once you realize that it's not, you stop treating all atheists as one big group and start talking to individuals. But again, I think that's a useful tool when talking to anyone. Stop looking at them by the groups that they're a part of and just stereotyping them, and start talking to them as an individual. Don't just look at someone and say, well, you're a Christian, so you must think this, and this. Ask them, what do you think about this? Why do you think this? Don't look at someone and say, well, you have this colour of skin and therefore you must have experienced this, or you couldn't have experienced this, or so on. Don't look at someone and say, well, you live in this country, so you've never known this, or this. The point I'm making is, don't make assumptions about people because of the groups they're a part of. I think many people give far too much power to labels and grouping, and that needs to stop, and we need to focus more on the individuals. I understand we've evolved to have this kind of concept of in-group and out-group members to keep ourselves safe and to say, I relate to you and I don't relate to you, so I'm going to be wary of you. I understand why we've developed this, but I don't think it's particularly useful or helpful anymore. I think we need to start looking at people as just individuals and making individual judgments on people, not saying, I like or hate you because you're part of this or this or this group. Get to know people for who they are. Understand them as individuals and their personal beliefs. And this goes for yourself as well. Question your own beliefs. Think about them and think, why do I think this? Why do I believe this? What are my reasons for this? Is it just because I've been told it? Is it just because I'm part of this group that I think I have to believe this? Or are there other reasons at play? what do I actually believe? I'm probably rambling now, aren't I? The point is, treat people as individuals, assess your own beliefs, figure out what you believe and what you don't and your reasons for it, and don't just lump all people of the same group together. And atheism isn't a religion. That's my conclusion. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Is atheism a religion? What makes a religion? Have you ever lumped a bunch of people together because you're like stereotyping them and like popping them all into one group? Tell me your experiences of that. Did it go well? Did it go badly? What did you learn? Rambling. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you again soon.